If you're gonna open your own restaurant, you have to be ready for a few things. It's gonna cost twice of what your budget that you thought that you were coming in for. If you want to be successful and if you want things to go well and you're expecting to not be here, that's just not gonna happen. If you're underfunded and behind the ball, you're going to be overextending yourself. The original plan was to be open by 2024. We are sitting in 2026. The style and philosophy that I cook with is, if the Midwest was a region in Italy, what would the food look like here? It is a seafood, coastal inspired restaurant. We definitely have oysters and we have clams and mussels and things like that, but you can also come in and there's chicken wings, there's mozzarella sticks, there's pizza. When a guest comes in the restaurant, it should be a fun time. It should be very casual, but I would expect elevated food that is with great products, simply prepared in a fun environment that should be kind of loud and raucous. It's 5 o'clock. We are now open at the Radicle in Logan Square. Thursdays is our R&D. It's like our new dish day, new menu items. Every Thursday we kind of go through and talk about what's working, what's not working, just because we like it and we think it's the best thing on the menu. The community in the neighborhood and the clientele is they're gonna dictate what actually sells. So we take these opportunities like today to kind of freshen things up. One of the dishes that we've been working on is this tuna conserva, hopefully taking the place of a dish that we think is delicious. It's just not doing as well as we thought it would. We got our albacore tuna. We're gonna take off the loin, basically coming straight down center here. We'll end up flaking it into the dish. So you just got chunks of tuna that are gonna be all abstract. The perfect cuts is not something that we're gonna necessarily spend a ton of time on. So we're basically gonna cut even. Thickness is important. We try to get the same size pieces here to poach. So this is Meghan, our executive sous chef. She's been with us for, what, 3 years?
3 years.
3 years from Daisies, and so she's coming over here to help us open this. This is the poaching liquid. So we've got garlic, onion, herbs, dill, fennel, rosemary, parsley stems, fennel seed. We're just gonna make like essentially a tea that we're gonna poach the tuna in. We're just gonna take this and drop it straight in. We will keep this in here. This whole process takes about maybe 5 minutes. And we want it to just be on the piano. It's still warm over here. And so if we do have to go back on the stove to regulate the temperature, it's right here and I can easily move it back and forth. You have the outside is white, but obviously we're not even close. You see how it's starting to flake here? What we're gonna do is we're gonna continually move this and check on it every couple minutes. And so the biggest reason that we're doing this is to keep it supple, keep it moist. A lot of canned tuna, especially tuna in oil that you encounter, is just dry. And we're looking to make sure that we're avoiding that entire scenario by taking over that process. It does two things. It flavors it, but it's also gonna extend that shelf life by hopefully a week. Once these are done, I'm gonna work on the beans, which is the bean set for the dish. I cooked off 6 different kinds last night. There's white bean varieties, there's black bean varieties, and there's 2 pintos, 2 white bean, a black, and there's a scarlet runner bean. So for the beans, we're looking for creaminess, but you also gotta think of the aesthetic of it, right? We're looking for things to complement that tuna. All of them are cooked with sherry vinegar, so everything is the same. Wow, that's a really good bean. Really good. Good Lord. The texture, right? I think we should try the scarlet runner. We wanna get these marinated, salt, season them, a little bit of oil so that it can kind of macerate and do its thing. Once the tuna is ready to go, and as soon as the bread shows up, this dish is ready to plate, essentially. The menu is an ever-changing part of the restaurant. Sometimes there's things that you hit on the very first try and everything seems like it's gonna be easy, and then there's dishes that you'll do years and years and when they still don't come out no matter what. Lobster was the most recent. I didn't love it. One of my favorite dishes in restaurants is linguine and clams in like a typical red sauce restaurant, which is something that we don't typically have a lot of those dishes. So this inspiration is coming from that. So instead of doing linguine, we're gonna use the passatelli noodles, basically like a potato press, which is, we take the breadcrumbs, basically robo-cook them so that they're super fine, add egg and Parmesan. These are little necks and they're off the coast of Massachusetts. The product that matches and kind of clings to those noodles. The lobsters wasn't texturally pleasing. All of the lobster was falling through and you would end up eating the noodles first and then you'd look down and all the rest of the lobsters at the bottom of the bowl. Because they're cooked in the shell, we're gonna keep the shell on. Well, we're not gonna remove the meat from it. It's actually gonna sit there. You're gonna know where they are. You're gonna actually have to do that work as well. As opposed to everything sitting there falling to the bottom of it, the shells are gonna help and hopefully make it eat a little bit better than what it has been doing. Because the guest is gonna be doing the work, they can kind of create their own perfect bite, if you will. So here you go, passatelli and clams. That fat noodle, I like that a lot. I think if we were gonna do anything differently, even before we're eating it, I think maybe we poached the noodles in fish broth.
It's really nice. Yeah, the linguine and clam thing is happening. Those clams are great.
Clams are really good. The chew of that noodle's really good.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that's really good. I think we're miles ahead of where we were with the lobster. The only other thing I would say is maybe anchovy breadcrumbs or something that's going to give it a little crunchy texture.
And some lemon zest in those breadcrumbs.
Lemons, yeah. We could put this on next Friday. I think it's a win all day long. The name, the Radicle, stems from the way it's spelled, R-A-D-I-C-L-E, is the first tap shoot that comes out of a seed. Daisies, which is our first restaurant, which was here. This was the first place that business sprouted. But it's also a play on words. We think we do things a little bit different, a radical idea, if you will, or a radical version of bar and restaurant where, you know, while we might have things like chicken wings or mozzarella sticks on a menu, we feel like we can elevate those things. There's a lot more deeper inspiration that's coming through the food if you really take a deeper look at everything that's going on. So the first iteration of the restaurant that we had in this space was Daisies. We ended up moving that down the street to our new location. Daisies is a farm-to-table restaurant that my brother has a farm in Michigan. It's about 70 miles outside the city of Chicago. That was the focal point for everything that we kind of did from an inspiration standpoint. Luckily, everything that we did kind of took off. We ended up in the New York Times as one of the 50 best restaurants in the country. We were bursting at the seams from business standpoint. The concept that we kind of went back into here with is now Radicle.
So we are running a scallop dish special this evening. These are Peruvian bay scallop. What I'm gonna do first is remove all of the abductor muscles, which is what connects the scallop to the shell. It's totally edible. It's just a not great texture to be eating.
For whatever reason, shrimp cocktail is one of those things that just isn't selling the way we thought it was going to. People love crudos, so it was like, all right, let's put a crudo on the menu.
So next we're gonna prep this pomegranate. So I'm gonna find like the natural lines here that's separating the fruit and just kind of score it. This is just a garnish on top. So the reason for the water is we don't want any of this white membrane. It's gonna be really bitter.
Meghan, this is her first opportunity to open a restaurant on, you know, as the lead in the kitchen. So she's learning quite a bit about every aspect of what it takes to open a restaurant from not just a kitchen standpoint, but a business, because at the end of the day, it's what it is. It's not just cooking anymore. The higher up you get, there's things that you have to consider and you're taking into account that are not just what's on your station or what is on the menu that night. It's also, was the city licenses filed appropriately? Is the health inspector on the way? All of those things that are not thought of. A lot more of the administrative work that goes into opening a business in a restaurant.
I've never had a position like this before. A lot of times when I'm asked that question, my response is, it's been really freeing to like see that I actually know how to do this job. Like I do know how to run a kitchen, I do know how to manage the staff, I know how to run service, I know how to write a schedule, I can order, I can put a dish on the menu. So the way we want guests to dine here is cold before hot. And so a lot of times we will take the oyster order when we take the cocktail order. And so I definitely say this is a dish that you want to start your meal with. All right, so earlier today we juiced some carrots and made this vinaigrette, which is just a straight up carrot juice with a little bit of champagne vinegar and salt to season. I also have this basil oil that I made by blanching basil and blending it with some neutral rice bran oil. That's why we wanted to choose this white bowl, so it was really vibrant with all the nice colors in here. This is a scallop crudo with carrot, pomegranate, and basil oil.
Because we were taking over our original space and it was already a restaurant, a big part of it is the infrastructure and the mechanicals that are here. We already had a hood, we already had dish rooms, we already had equipment. We thought that we were still getting ahead of it. We thought we were gonna still save some money. We didn't change any layouts. We just changed the decor for the most part. Still ran over $1 million for us to open this restaurant. You know, when you change the concept of the restaurant, we didn't have pizza ovens here. You need specific equipment to pull that off. You know, those pizza ovens were $50,000. That's a major focal point that is crucial to your restaurant. Pizza for me is one of those things, the nostalgia. It's a really big driver for what I do, from a career standpoint. I missed making pizza, and the general public, it's just something that they love. Pizza, very great with margins. You can actually win on that. Seafood, not so much. If we pair them together, hopefully it balances things out where it's a little bit more affordable for people to eat here. We try to keep everything as affordable as we possibly can because it's not affordable to eat out as much as it used to be. We think through every single thing that we possibly can, then we open the doors And it turns out the things that we thought of, you need to change this, you need to change this isn't gonna work, this flow isn't working for service, this POS doesn't belong here, this raw bar setup isn't ideal because you haven't worked through the actual space. And so then when you're actually working through the space for the first few weeks, you're realizing all the things that, oh man, I wish I would have done this, or I wish this would have been here. So all right, we're gonna plate that tuna. These are the scarlet runner beans. These are some sun-dried tomato, parsley. This is the tuna we poached off. Yeah, so we like to keep it whole so we can kind of control the flake. We're not looking to get it all mashed up, not looking for that cat food, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, straight off the bat, I think it's a little too big. I think we would probably put it down to 2 pieces. Ways back, we talked about doing things by the piece. A lot of this is like trying to keep it affordable. And when you see numbers on a menu that it's like $4 a piece, $5 a piece, people don't have to commit to a whole thing. It might be a better way for us to go about it by the piece. I think the creamy beans is doing exactly what we wanted them to do.
Yeah, I love the beans.
The beans are fantastic. The tomato's really nice. Balsamic's good. The confetti's, yeah. I think the size is the only thing we need to work on. Run it as a special maybe Wednesday, Thursday on the menu Friday. Restaurants are very personal to a lot of people. Somebody has a vision of what they want to do. You're putting yourself out there. You're serving hundreds of people, hopefully a day. And so everybody's got their opinion and everybody feels whether they had an amazing time or they were slighted for whatever reason. And they're going to put that out there as well to the general public. I feel like you're on display at all times. When a guest comes in the restaurant, I kind of purposefully don't want them to know or have a preconceived notion of what they're kind of getting themselves into. I want them to have their own unique experience and come away from it with their idea and their experience as opposed to what someone else told them, whether it's a critic or a friend or someone off the street or say, hey, you gotta go eat this place because of this. I would rather have them walk in not knowing much, experience it for themselves, because you can have a bunch of different experiences within it. There's a lot of food that leans towards the bar. There's chicken wings, there's mozzarella sticks, there's pizza. You can also come in and have a raw bar with oysters and crudos, a roasted whole fish, pepper and salads, and end with a pizza and have a completely different experience than you would have if you just chose to come in and eat a certain way. But I would expect elevated food that is with great products, simply prepared in a fun environment that should be, kind of loud and raucous, but at the same time, we're trying to bring a late night back to this neighborhood